It's time for an Out and About with Jamie Grout podcast, and this time around we're talking with the Cookies BBQ sauce guy, Speed Herrig. You might have seen him on TV commercials or even heard the Cookies barbecue sauce jingle. He's a fascinating guy, and last summer during the Iowa State Fair, I had a chance to do an interview with Speed, and he's 88 years old, but you never could tell. He's as sharp as a tack, and he has a great story to tell about how Cookies barbecue sauce got started. And he also has a golf cart company, too, that I didn't even know about till I had a chat with our mayor, Randy Irvin, about that. He's just a fascinating person. And this interview was suggested to me from Van Harden. And I think you'll find the interview to be very enlightening about Cookies barbecue sauce and all the different brands and different flavors of Cookies barbecue sauce that they have. So sit back and enjoy the chat with the one and only Speed Herrig, the guy who really brought Cookies barbecue sauce to fame, in just a couple moments. But first, a word from our sponsors. And time is running out for you to get in on the introductory flight lesson at Johnson Aviation in Newton. Get a hold of Ethan or Lisa at Johnson Aviation at the Newton Airport. If you've always wanted to learn to fly, now is the time to get in on it. The special is going on through the 15th of this month. It's only $75 to get behind the, I guess they call it a yoke there at the flight instructor's manual, the pilot's steering wheel and feet there at the airport. They can take you up in an airplane and show you what it's like to learn to fly for that introductory flight lesson. Only $75 at Johnson Aviation out at the airport. But again, that runs out on the 15th of this month, and that's just coming up in a couple of days. So get a hold of Ethan at the airport if you want to try that. It's only $75. They'll take you up in a plane and show you what it's like. So I'm recording this on the 13th. It's just before midnight, so we're getting ready to head to the 14th. So just a couple of days. So get a hold of Ethan and Lisa at the airport and tell them you heard about this on the Out and About with Jamie Grout podcast, and you want to learn how to fly. It's only $75 introductory flight lesson at Johnson Aviation. They'll take you up in a plane and put you behind the wheel and show you how that is done. And it might be the start of a brand new career for you, or just if you want to do it as a hobby. Find out about what it's like to learn to fly at Johnson Aviation. Again, Lisa and Ethan there at the airport will take good care of you there. Another fine sponsor, of course, is Newton Clinic. Care close to home matters at Newton Clinic. At Newton Clinic, they're proud to serve the community with care that's personal, familiar, and built on trust. They say, we're here for your family. Right here is the place where you call home and they call home at Newton Clinic. And don't forget, their newest provider is Kinsey Heiser. She would love to meet you and welcome you as a patient. Kinsey Heiser, excited to be in Newton, has a new provider at Newton Clinic. Also, Ryan's Tire and Auto on First Avenue in Newton. If you go to his Facebook page, you'll see his latest video, and he shows an example of a tire that's worn on the inside but not on the outside. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my tire from the back of my Hyundai Elantra. I was having trouble here last week when we had so much rain controlling the backside of my Elantra. And I went and told Ryan about it. He had his alignment guy start to work on the backside of my car, and come to find out the inside of my back tires were all worn out. And they were in pretty bad shape, and so they needed to be replaced, and he took care of that and had his alignment guy take care of the back of my car, and now it's a lot safer to drive going from Newton to Des Moines and back every day, and I feel a lot more confident in this rainy weather, keeping control of my Hyundai Elantra thanks to Ryan and Ryan's Tire and Auto, where they take pride in delivering more than just tires and vehicle maintenance. They provide an unwavering commitment to great service every time as a locally owned and operated small business. They understand the importance of building lasting relationships with their valued customers. And if you watch the video, he gave a whole lot of money to a bunch of different causes. Also, he's always doing that at Ryan's Tire and Auto, including $300 to the Salvation Army Food Pantry. So hats off to Ryan's Tire and Auto on First Avenue in Newton. They do great work there. I can tell you firsthand how they have done that. I always have my vehicles taken care of at Ryan's Tire and Auto on First Avenue. Also, don't forget Wesley Life Park Center, another one of our fantastic sponsors. Pursue your joy at Park Center by offering living options across a continuum. Park Center provides vital, enriching environments for everyone, a community for healthy living focused on holistic health and well-being. Their programming enhances emotional, intellectual, and spiritual wellness and enables you to live a life that's healthier in every way. Park Center is at home in Newton, with many residents and team members having lived their lives. To learn more about Park Center's different levels of living and to find the lifestyle that's right for you, contact Lisa Zylstra at 641-791-5000. That's Lisa Zylstra at 641-791-5000. And coming up the 1st of May or around that time, they'll be opening up Wesley Life at Home on the east side of the square in the old Blooming Nails location. It's going to be just to the north of the Red Pride Cafe, and I did a podcast about Wesley Life at Home. You can find that on Out and About with Jamie Grout, so check that out. Another fine sponsor of the Out and About with Jamie Grout podcast is Advantage Credit Union.
If you've been fouled by your financial institution, then blow the whistle. This is Coach Miles from Advantage Credit Union with some one-on-one for a financial victory. At ACU, you're treated like you own the team because you actually do. Advantage Credit Union offers great deposit rates. You actually earn interest instead of paying a monthly fee at you know where.
Make shot, good!
If you live or work in Jasper County or 18 other central Iowa counties, you are eligible to join. Visit us in downtown Newton or online at acuiowa.org. It's a game winner at ACU.
Member NCUA.
It's time for an Out and About with Jamie Grout podcast, and this time around I'm excited to talk to the Cookies BBQ sauce guy, Speed Herrig. The last time I chatted with him was at the Iowa State Fair on the air at WHO, and he's been on the air on WHO quite a bit over the years with Van and Bonnie, and he's a great storyteller. He's got a lot of stories to tell, and this interview comes because of an idea from Van Harden. And Van suggested several months ago, he said, Jamie, with this podcast, you should get some people on Facebook to tell you about the people who could tell the funniest stories. And one of the guys that was mentioned was Mark Allen, who used to do sports on WHO with Van and Bonnie. And we've already done a podcast with him, and he tells great stories about his kids and his family and whatnot. And the other person that was mentioned was Speed Herrig. And I think, were you in Arizona or Florida when I first contacted you? It was back in February.
Yeah, I was in Arizona then. I got a place down there, and I go back and forth. I'm not good just to sit down there for a month or 2 months at a time, Jamie. I have too much fun doing what I do, and I guess that's why at 88 years old I'm still going out with the Cookies Rib Wagon and a lot of places. I've been to the county fair store up in Mitchell, South Dakota, and I think this will be our 17th year. It's just kind of like a family reunion when we go up there and have a lot of fun. And then a couple of people that have retired at the store come back and after 5 o'clock have a beer with us, and we tell each other how smart we are, which don't take too long,
Mitchell, South Dakota, home of the Corn Palace and home of KORN Radio.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think of the guy's name that a big guy that I used to go on air with him. Whenever I'd pull in the store on Wednesday, they would take me right down to the radio station.
Sure.
And I'd be on the air with the guy, funny and they had a lot of fun. And then he passed away, sad to say.
Okay.
But every year, because he'd say, he said, I'll be looking forward to seeing you next year, know.
Yeah.
And but it was a lot of fun, Jamie.
When I was working at KCOB in Newton, they would call us from time to time because they said the corn needs to call the cob. So we get together on the phone every now and then.
Yeah.
So that's great. Now, is the Rib Wagon going to be at the State Fair again this coming year?
Yeah, it'll be there. And in fact, we've got a full schedule every other week. Well, we did just got through with the Farnerbachen, which is Core-Mark, which is PFG. They're a big food distributor, and we just finished that show off. And then we've got for every other week until I think probably the mid to tail end of October.
Okay.
We'll be out someplace with the Cookies Rib Wagon. I know we're going to be Marion, Burlington, Davenport, Jacksonville, Illinois, and Ames,
Okay.
and then a few more.
You're all over the place.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, tell us about how Cookies BBQ sauce got started anyway, Speed.
Well, originally, just a little background on me, Jamie. I was not top of the class when I got out of high school.
Okay.
There wasn't a college that wanted me. I don't know if I could have got in there.
You and me both.
Well, but the first time I got kicked out of school, I tried to tell my parents that I was so far ahead of everybody, they wanted me to leave for 3 days so the rest of the class could catch up. Keep in mind, I live out in the country, still live on the farm that I was born and raised on, but small town. Well, by the time I got home, Dad said, let's try something else. He said, here's what we're going to do. He said, you're so smart. He said, what we're going to do is we're going to take the tractor with the manure loader on it. You're going to hook onto the manure spreader. You're going to pull up beside the hog feeding floors, only you're not going to unhook the tractor. And keep in mind, this is right alongside of, now it's pavement, but it was a gravel road. And he said, when people drive by, you're going to be scooping the hog manure on by hand. And they're going to say, geez, that dumb hairy kid, why don't he use that tractor and loader? He just got it hooked up there and he's scooping it by hand. So, but I learned something from that.
Yeah.
Every time I got kicked out of school, I just automatically hooked onto the manure spreader. 'Cause I knew that's what the deal was, But I had super good teachers in school. I mean, I got a good education, and I got along with the principal and the superintendent real well. I mean, just kind of a little bit of humor with it. At our 10-year class reunion, I asked Mr. Mitchell, our superintendent, I said, I never ever had to get an excuse from my parents, because I played football and basketball and stuff too, but if we didn't have practice, we had study hall in the afternoon, I'd just go down to the superintendent's office and say, well, Mr. Mitchell, I think I'm pretty well done for the day. I'll see you in the morning. And I'd just leave school. And because I scrapped old iron and stuff to pick up some spare change and stuff.
Okay.
And I never give it a thought, but he said, when you came into my office and said you were pretty well done for the day, he said, I knew the best I could do is get you out of here because you were going to pull something to disrupt the school. He said, and kind of along that line, our principal was Harold Vanderlaan, and he was in assisted living, I believe it was in Orange City, and he seen one of my salesmen one day. This goes back a bunch of years, but he got my phone number, and when I answered the phone, I recognized his voice right away, and I mean, that had to be buku years ago,
Sure.
And I said, well, hello, Mr. Vanderlaan, how are you today? Oh, he said, you recognize my voice? I said, yeah. He said, I just wanted to call. He said, when I see you on TV doing those TV commercials up here when we're all sitting around and watch TV, he said, I point at you and say, there's the kid I kicked out of school.
Well, you did pretty well for yourself, Speed.
It's been a lot of fun. I worked house construction when I was in school, and then after I got out of high school, like I say, I wasn't college material, so I worked road construction, run heavy equipment for a couple of years. Knew I didn't want to do that, so I went to sign up for the Marines, and the Marine recruiter was out to lunch, and the Navy recruiter was sitting there. I said, how long does it take to sign up? He said, about 15 minutes. I said, how long will it be before the Marine recruiter's back? Well, he said he's on his lunch hour. He'll be back probably within a half hour, 45 minutes. I said, by the time he gets back, I guess I'll be in the Navy. And so I signed up for that and became an aircraft mechanic. And then when I got out of, in fact, when I was in the military, I got special permission. I run a repair shop off the base, worked on cars and stuff. Started at 4 in the afternoon and closed at midnight. Then went and drank beer for a couple hours and then back out to the base. But, and consequently, then I opened up my shop when I got out of the military and out on the farm, had a fire and lost everything and rebuilt that. And then I was the youngest Ford Mercury dealer. Ford Motor Company came to me dealership that had been in a bankruptcy and was headed to another one, and they wanted me to take it over, and I was 20, must have been about 28.
Okay.
And had no experience being a car dealer, but I learned real quick and got it up and did real well with it and sold it out in 3 years.
Was that in Wall Lake or
That was
Carroll?
up in Sac City.
Sac City, okay.
Called Speed's Motor Sales. And then I come back down and expanded our automotive parts operation. Well, then I put $500 or $1,000 in Cookies because they tried to get enough money so that we could get an SBA loan to get, because the guy that started, his name was L.D. Cook, hence the Cookies.
Oh, okay.
And I said he come to Wall Lake and got 30-some of us to throw money in.
Okay.
Got an SBA loan. We built a building, it's just 5,000 square feet, 5,200, whatever. But we got that built, and I didn't pay attention to it because I was selling auto parts on the road and stuff.
Sure.
And the bank and SBA came to me and said, do you want to take over sales at Cookies? I said, what's the deal? Well, they said they haven't made an SBA payment, and he's got an excuse every day, like today you wouldn't want to go out, it's too hot, you could have a heat stroke, or
Right.
and so one thing led to another, and so I took over sales, and then eventually everybody wanted to get out of it. I went through 2 lawsuits.
No kidding.
Yeah, and the kind of the good side of the bad part, Jamie, was it made the Drake Law Library volume number 33 because it's such a strange lawsuit. And Elon Law School out east calls me. Andy Hale is a professor out there and calls me every year. And then I talk to the class about it because it was kind of a unique lawsuit, and he feels really good that he can talk to somebody that's involved in it.
Okay, well, that begs the question, what were you being sued over then?
Well, that was a strange thing. They told me that I was taking money from the company, and I was just a commissioned salesperson. They checked all the merchandise out. I turned all the money into them, and then I got my commission.
Right.
And, well, come to find out is it wasn't after there was a transition where Mr. Cook wanted to sell all his stock out, and we'd all agreed to buy it out. Well, when that come up, they didn't want to buy it out. They said, if you're so smart, you buy it out. And John Goodnow, with at that time his Wall Lake Savings Bank, now it's Bank Midwest, I didn't have that kind of money, so
Sure.
I bought some out and ended up with 51%. Well, when I owned 51%, I had to personally guarantee the SBA loan.
I see. Okay.
And so I said, we're not going to pay any dividends until that SBA loan is paid off.
Sure.
And so that's what they were evidently upset about, and I offered to buy them all out at 5 times what their original investment was.
Okay.
And they didn't want to do that, so it went to court and a judge trial, and the judge said, well, he didn't take any money from anybody. But I had my attorneys subpoena all the people that were suing me.
Right.
And I said, I want to sit right in front of them. When you ask them questions, I want them to tell me face to face how crooked I am. Well, they said, no, you're just a good businessman. We just wanted dividends. And the judge said, well, he said, you guys should have just stayed out of his way. The way he was making money for Cookies, you should have just left him go. And then they took it, I won in district court, and then they took it to Iowa Supreme Court, and I won there too.
Oh, good for you. Okay.
And but it's kind of neat to be able to.
Sure.
And then we've expanded from 5,000 square foot or 5,200 to about 125,000.
Well, one thing that I think that you need to be given credit for is your marketing campaign. I can still remember your jingle. Cookies barbecue sauce is the barbecue sauce America loves to eat.
Hey, do you suppose we could go on air singing?
Well, I don't know. Maybe people would be turning their radios off after a while.
They'd find a
Speed.
different station.
Yeah. But Speed, it still rings in my head, and your commercials were funny. And so your commercials, your jingle is a ringing endorsement for marketing, let me tell you, because I still remember it, and I will have you know that whenever I get a burger or fries or anything, I use Cookies barbecue sauce, just like ketchup. And you even recommended that on some of your commercials, too.
The smart cookies use cookies all the time.
That's right. That's right. And it is good stuff. Forget that other stuff, the stuff that comes from Kansas City or whatever. I'm going to do that Iowa product. And, I love you, Speed. So I always endorse Cookies barbecue sauce.
Well, I appreciate that, Jamie. And the thing about it, see, we use corn syrup to help the farmers, but we don't use a chemically modified high fructose corn syrup, which a lot of people got problems with that. And we just use pure sugar and just good old plain ingredients and have a lot of fun with it.
What made you decide to do marketing? Because some people say, I'll just put it on the shelves and get it out there and it'll do what it wants. Because
Jamie,
you're a person who truly did believe in marketing.
Well, and like I say, I'm school of hard knocks. But I started out just route delivering, and after 90 days, I'd sold enough so they could start making payments to SBA. And I just went into every grocery store there was, and I laughed. There was one guy that said, I don't know about a new product, but he said, I'll take 3 bottles. And he said, if it sells, I'll pay you the next time you're in. And so that, and then there's a lot of, I really enjoyed going out and meeting the store owners and having a lot of fun with it. But I went into one store and I, went to introduce myself, and he had his hand in his pocket. And I put my hand out to shake it. He just stood there with his hands in his pocket. And I reached over and grabbed one by the wrist and jerked it out of his pocket and put it in mine. And I said, you're glad to meet me, and I feel the same way about you. And it just been a lot of fun. But I guess as far as the marketing, there was no money to hire anybody.
You did it all on your own.
I did it all on my own. I went into, I don't know how many stores I didn't stand in and do in-store demos. One, I guess, that's kind of near and dear to my heart. Mike McCann was at the Hy-Vee store on East Euclid. And I don't know what about him and me, what the connection was, but we just kind of became instant friends. And he would let me demo in his store. I'd usually get done route delivering on Fridays at 5 o'clock, and then I'd set up my card table, my electric skillet, and stand in there and demo the product. And the neat thing about it, Mike and his wife Nancy are still good friends today. We get together occasionally, but it just you make a lot of friends out there and treat everybody fair. I learned in selling auto parts, sell all you can sell, but whoever you're selling it to, if they can't resell it and turn a profit, they won't be around long. Mm-hmm. And I felt the same thing at stores. There ain't no sense of talking them into buying 100 cases of your product if they're going to sell 10 of it. Mm-hmm. Just keep them buying, and it's just been a fun trip.
So you have the original Cookies barbecue sauce, but you have different subsidiaries, I'll call them, of barbecue sauce. Tell us how many different kinds of barbecue sauce you have, Speed.
We've got the Western and the tangy mustard, and then we've got the sweet hickory, and then the Korean, and then we have 2 taco sauces. The main one we market is the mild, and then we have 2 salsas, a mild and a medium salsa, and then we've got the flavor enhancer and all-purpose seasoning, which is a big item. And I got that recipe from a friend of mine in Texas. He said, Speed, here's the recipe. And I said, well, it's got to have some garlic in it. Oh, yeah, I said, I forgot that. And I would just word of mouth and put it together. And I started selling it, and it took a hold real well. And then I just sent him a check for 5% of the first check I sent him, he said, Speed, what's this check for? I said, well, for, you give me the recipe. He said, but you're doing all the marketing. I said, no, but it's only fair. You give me the recipe, so I'll give you 5%. And that was probably 20 plus years ago. Mm-hmm. And we still, every month, send him a check. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I guess, whether it's a farm boy in me, whatever, but sure. Treat everybody fair.
Yeah.
And Harley is the guy's name, said, Speed, you could quit sending me those checks anytime. I said, yeah, I can, but I'm not going to.
How do you come up with these recipes? Do you have a research
Well,
department? Do you do them
I'll tell you
yourself? How do you come up with these?
My youngest son, Jeff, likes to, but he come up with a couple of them. But I've always liked to cook. In fact, they've got a picture of me when I was probably 12 or 13 in the farmhouse with a cookbook in my hand. And my mom was a real good cook, and bless her soul, but she would let me cook and she'd clean up the mess, And I just like to try different things, and that's kind of how I come up with the different flavors of barbecue.
So you
sauce.
Experiment,
Yeah. And the group you have doing the testing was the toughest thing to find, because and a couple times just to try it, I made some sauce up that tasted horrible. I mean horrible.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Pretty bad?
It was bad, and I purposely did it.
Oh.
And then I'd say, Jamie, what do you think of it? Oh, I love it. It tastes so good. Well, I knew they were lying to me.
Uh-huh.
I said, guys and gals, let's be real honest about it. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I want to know what it really tastes like, if you really like it. And if you really don't like it, tell me. And so once we got that air cleared, because I'm still in the automotive parts business and shop, and of course we're a club car, golf car dealer too.
Sure, and I want to talk about that later too.
So, doing that, and so I take a bunch of people out at the automotive and down at the barbecue plant, and I'll cook up something and we'll all give it a try.
I see. Okay.
And so that's how, and we're in Walmart and stuff, but I've got real personal connections with Hy-Vee and Fairway. They've been so good to me through the years that it just back to the old M&JR Hakes days, way back when. But it's just been fun, and it's sad I'm dealing with a lot of the third generation. But at 88, I'm seeing a lot of people pass away that have been good friends through the years, and Jamie, that makes it tough.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. But you have a name brand, I'm telling you, and it's going to carry on for decades, I'm sure. I'm sure, Speed. I just want to ask one more question about cookies. How widely distributed is it? Because I know it's all around Iowa. Is it outside of Iowa too?
Yeah, we're mainly the Midwestern states, the Nebraska, the North and South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, and down into Kansas and Missouri. Okay. Those are the main things. And like I say, we're in like 6 of Walmart distribution centers, and from there you don't know, where it goes. But as long as they, I've done business with them and for years. But Hy-Vee and Fairway, I've done business with them both like 48 years.
Yeah. Okay, I want to get to your golf cart business. I had lunch with the mayor of Newton.
Okay.
It would have been a week ago today. And he said, well, what do you have coming up for podcasts? And I said, I want to talk to Speed Herrig of Cookies BBQ Sauce. And he said, well, he's not just known for Cookies BBQ Sauce. He's got a huge golf cart business also. And I didn't know about that. Tell us about that, Speed.
Well, yeah, we've been at that probably about 25, 30 years. But, and that's all my son Brian. I can remember, because I worked out in the shop a lot, and cars would need tune-ups every 10,000 miles, plugs, points, condenser, and and every 50,000 miles you do a valve job, and a 80 or 90,000 you do an overhaul. Well, that all became a thing of the past with the unleaded fuels and stuff like that. So our auto parts does real well, but Brian said, I think it's going to fall off a little bit. And he said, so we should get into golf carts. And I said, golf carts in Wall Lake, Iowa? I said, we got one golf course, about 3 or 4 miles from our shop. But I said, beyond that, who are you going to sell them to? I said, you could sell, 6 or 8 golf cars a year? Oh, he said, Dad, I'll do a lot better than that. And so the first year, I think he sold like 20 or 30 of them. And he said, I think we can lease a lot of golf carts to individuals, but also to golf courses. So he and I sat down and figured out how to figure the leases and the depreciation and the interest you've got tied up in the golf cars and everything. And today we probably got over 700 golf cars out on lease.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's a big part of our business, and we lease a lot of them to individuals up at like around Black Hawk Lake, up at Lakeview, up at Okoboji, that want something. And now a lot of the towns, like in Lakeview, we know what the requirements are, the SMV sign and turn signals and horns and flag and all that. So if someone is looking for one in that, we say it'll be already equipped to meet the inspection for whatever the town is. And that's helped us a lot. And so we bring them in, and even all of our lease cars come in, we service them, and then they go back out again. And depend on the year of they're either a 3 or a 5 year lease. And that keeps us, gives us a lot of nice used cars coming in, because we've got a body shop too, so we go all the way through them, so our used carts are almost as good as new ones.
Well, if people want more information on your golf carts, how can they find out about that, Speed?
Easiest way is just to go to our website, speedsgolfcarts.com, or call 800-522-1968 and just ask for Brian. And Brian, then I've got a grandson, Colton, that does real well. He handles a lot of the leasing now, because we've been in it for roughly 30 years. And so he handles the whereabouts, where the golf cars are, and so we know where to pick them all up when we bring them in for service in the winter.
Okay. Well, we need to wrap things up. It's been a real joy talking to you, Speed.
Well, Jamie, it's been a lot of fun talking to you. I mean, it just it seems like we've been together every place around the country, but never seen each other.
Well, we know some of the same people.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised that our paths have not crossed sooner than this. I'm sorry that it hasn't.
Well, here too, and thank goodness. Otherwise, you'd probably had to go to my parole hearing, or I'd had to go to yours.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But we have a new program director, and good Lord willing, he'll put me on the air on WHO during the Iowa State Fair, and maybe we can get together again there.
You bet. Yeah, I'd look forward to it, Jamie.
That would be great. You're going to have the rib wagon.
Oh, yeah, the rib wagon there. We'll be sampling and various cuts of pork and beef, and using our Korean sauce, doing some stir fry. So.
Yeah. And by the way, before we wrap up, you were just honored by the pork producers again, weren't you?
Yes, I got, which really surprised me. I was the 2025 honorary master pork producer. I received that award in January.
Well, that is just great. Well, we're going to wrap things up. We've been talking with Speed Herrig, and as I mentioned before, when I was on the air with Speed on WHO, 3 famous people came from Wall Lake, Iowa. Andy Williams, and the Williams brothers, of course.
Yep.
Speed Herrig, and Stacy Horst,
Yeah.
who does the news on Channel 8.
Well, and Stacy's a good friend of mine. I sponsored her when she was a Miss Teen Queen.
Oh, I didn't know she was.
Her grandma lives right across the road from the barbecue plant.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, keep up the good work. You've got a great product. You're a great guy, and Iowa loves you, Speed, and I can tell you love Iowa back.
You betcha. Thank you much, Jamie. Have a good day.
Okay, Speed Herrig, our interview guest on Out and About with Jamie Grout.
Other fine sponsors include Lynette Baker, Halo Branded Solutions. You'll find her business card on the sponsors page of outandaboutwithjamiegrout.com. Also, Westside Java Coffee Bar, providing a prize every Sunday morning for Out and About with Jamie Grout podcast trivia. The Made Right Sandwich Shop in Newton, serving breakfast 7 days a week. And Jersey Freeze in Monroe. Thanks to Lynn Donahue and the gang at Jersey Freeze. Until next time, Grout is out. See ya.